Hello and welcome to this, the latest edition of the Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-Up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2024, and this week we're going to talk about whatever we end up discussing. Each week in these sessions is completely dependent upon the audience and who shows up. Some weeks we'll talk about blockchain, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, all sorts of three-letter acronyms really. Get to talk about regulation, stable coins, Layer 1 solutions, Layer 2. If this sounds familiar to you, then great, stick around. If it sounds totally like a foreign language, then again, stay with us and come and learn. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and everyone's welcome, novice and experts alike. So I hope you find this of value. If you do, remember to click on like, the subscribe, but even better, come and join a future session. There's details in the link before on how to register. So with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Arnold, welcome back. And we're joined by Rebecca as well. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey Gary, nice to see you. Muy bien, ¿y tú qué tal?
Gracias. Hey, so we may have a few more people joining us yet. So really don't know. It is a few days before Christmas, so we'll see what goes on. But Arnold's always good. Arnold's a great guy in the crypto and blockchain space. Arnold, please.
What's happening, Gary? I couldn't join you a couple weeks ago. I enjoyed your chat on Dubai. I'm going to be heading over there and connect with some of your peeps, but that was really good.
Cool. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Rebecca, did I get it from our conversation the other day? Do you have some connection with the Gulf states in some way? I know you're in Spain, but the threat. Oh, it's in Miami. Did you say? Or
No, I am in Spain. But my businesses are in Dubai.
Okay. I thought so.
Yeah, it's a better regulatory environment, let's say, than Spain. Spain is so far has been very against crypto. Also, a couple of weeks ago, they announced that banks are gonna be issuing platforms so businesses can charge you in cryptos. Let's see how that goes.
Okay, excellent. That's good. Well, we've just been joined by Gabriella as well. Gabriella, good evening to you. And also, Gabrielle, whereabouts in Spain are you at the moment?
Hello.
Hey, Gabriella, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just saying we've been joined by Rebecca, who is also in Spain today. So I thought maybe I'd connect the two of you.
Oh, nice to meet you, Rebecca. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you, Gabriela. I'm in Madrid. Where are you in Spain?
In Madrid as well. Yes.
Oh, so we can connect.
Yes.
There we go. It was funny. Arnold was saying about last week's call where we had people on from Abu Dhabi and a couple of people from Dubai who didn't know each other and all kind of connected and everything. So that's the nature of these conversations at times. It's the way it goes, which is great.
It is. It's very nice. And then to find a female in the crypto world, it's not that common. It's very nice.
Hey, well, we sometimes get a few more females on this call actually, which is great. So maybe I'm breaking the trends, which is fantastic. But Rebecca, can you share with us a little bit more about what you're working on with Dubai and that kind of thing? Is that public or?
Yeah, sure. So I started off with an investment firm in cryptocurrencies. I joined with my partners who are from traditional banking. They come from Barclays, a banca, executive in traditional banking. So we started the firm. It went really well. A year and a half, we did 2,800% revenue, which is pretty good when it comes to an investment firm. You cannot do the same investments that as an individual you are allowed to. So to achieve that was quite good. We specialize on derivatives in crypto, and then we decided to launch a hedge fund in Dubai, which is we just signed up the hedge fund. Let's see if in the next 3 months we are able to attract investors. I also have a tech company dedicated to programming for the blockchain using artificial intelligence. It's a startup, but my major focus is in finance. That's what I really do. So my hedge fund is actually my focus. I'm also a professor in college. I teach at IUB here in Madrid, investment in digital assets. So if anybody wants to send a kid or something to school. It's a very prestigious university in Europe that only teaches finance, so it's pretty good. And I wrote a book about crypto that none of you actually need. If you have a family who needs it. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I think we can always learn things, is my experience, Rebecca. I mean, I've been in this space for, I guess, about 10 years or so. Sorry, my camera keeps dropping out at the moment. I've been in this space for about 10 years and I'm still learning things. There's always something to learn. And I think at the point at which you think you know everything, that means you don't.
It is also a very changing environment, and evolution is part of the blockchain. It's changing a lot. I started when I was 19, 12 years ago, and I would say the last 5 years have been the really big learning for me, because the industry is developing faster. It's adopting a lot of financial products from the traditional markets. So obviously, there's a lot to do now. It's way more interesting, I would say.
Excellent, that's good. And Arnold, you were working on some new stuff, if I remember correctly. Is that out of stealth yet, or?
A bit, yeah. So we're doing a decentralized exchange on Solana, using some zero knowledge proofs to make it a bit solve the privacy piece, and going to be looking at liquidity partners, and that's part of the reason to go to talk to some of our friends in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, because I was curious. I don't know if some of you are on some of the same chats I'm on, but I saw a report this week about various crypto exchanges and that kind of thing. And I think it was Apex was said to have done a report. Apex being, I think, an exchange in their own right, where they were claiming that there were 95 exchanges based in the UK, which I couldn't get the original research because I just don't believe it. I just don't think it's that many, unless it's decentralized small things that happen to be registered in some way.
Has to be. Wouldn't be centralized exchanges.
No, because I didn't get a chance to check how many are on the crypto asset register at the moment. So, you know, Rebecca, I don't know if you were, and Gabriella may find this of interest because she tends to be interested in evolution and regulation there. But in the UK, any business that provides any crypto service, in effect, so certainly exchanges, custody, anything like that, have to be on the UK Financial Conduct Authority register of crypto asset dealers in some way. And that is technically because the FCA is responsible for anti-money laundering in the UK. And so they've got a supervisory responsibility. So we've got this weird situation in the UK that crypto is unregulated as a financial instrument. It's not a regulated financial instrument. However, if you want to deal with it as a business, you have to be on an FCA register. So it's bizarre that you're on a regulator's register, but that doesn't mean that you're licensed or approved or anything like that. And if you're not on that register, then they can seek to kind of prosecute you. So we had that recently with Bitcoin ATMs. So, you know, the machines in the wall that you get like Bitcoin out of and that kind of thing. The FCA said if you're operating an ATM, then you need to be on the crypto asset register. And Arnold's probably familiar with some of his previous work of just how challenging it can be to actually get a crypto asset registration. And so nobody who had ATMs in the UK did. And so the FCA effectively prohibited them. So we've got this weird situation in the UK whereby whilst it's not a regulated thing, you're not allowed to do things. And it's interesting you mentioned derivatives as well, because the UK FCA, again, they did a survey a while back. They seek public comment and did a consultation process about crypto derivatives. And if I remember correctly, 97% of the respondents said that the public should be allowed to have them. So the FCA banned them and said, no, you can't do that. They're too complex to understand. They're too risky. and therefore consumers can't have them. You can if you're an institution or something. So I don't know, how does that compare for you? Is that one of the reasons why you're looking at Dubai, because of the regulation on that?
Actually, yeah, we were allowed to do the investment firm, which was a surprise. It was an easy though. But then we applied to have the hedge fund in Spain first because we're all Spanish. And the CNMV, sorry, which is the Spanish regulator, said that it would be impossible for them to allow a crypto hedge fund that does derivatives in Spain. So we started looking around. We looked at the UK, we looked at Jersey Islands, we looked at Luxembourg, Dubai, and Dubai seemed a better choice because you have a meeting with the Barca, and the Barca then decides whether they're going to allow you and just request certain documentation from you, or if they're going to just completely ban you. But from the beginning, they don't have a written regulation that you have to submit X amount of documents. It's a more on the go thing. And given our backgrounds, we knew that if we made it that far, they were probably gonna allow us. They will always request documents from you, but it's not as extensive as other countries. That's why we went to Dubai. We could also do Abu Dhabi or something, but Dubai is actually the financial free zone is quite good in terms of promoting your hedge fund and all the services they provide. However, it is true that derivatives have very bad marketing. But I have to say something. If you compare a derivative in crypto to a traditional derivative, ours is actually less risky, like a lot less risky. But people don't know this. We don't have margin calls. So in a traditional market, if you place an option, you usually are bound to have a margin call. If your margin call is not big enough, then you get kicked from the market. We don't have that. If I go under a bit and I buy an option, if I sell the option, it's a different conversation. But if I just buy the option, I'm not required to have a margin call. So the extent of my losses is only the initial payment, which is actually less risky than traditional markets.
Yeah.
Obviously, the volatility of the market, that's when they say that it's riskier. Yes, the market is volatile, but if you're placing an option on Nvidia, for example, it's the same, isn't it? So it's not really that much risky. It's just that people, for some reason, governments are enhancing this bad marketing about us. But it is true that before we did this, we did a full marketing search on competitors and the full scope. No other big hedge fund did derivatives in crypto. Honestly, we couldn't extend it to the point where we understood the reason behind it, but they prefer to do futures or to do yield margin than to actually do options. The only derivative that is actually sold out there are perpetual futures on cryptocurrencies, which is quite weird because futures are far more risky than options. So I guess it's more about understanding how it works for them to actually be operating in the market. However, if you look at the growth in options trading, for example, it's massive. It's just massive. Derivative, only on derivative has been $1.5 billion daily in trading, which is a lot. So the growth in the market is quite interesting.
That's cool. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Just notice we've been joined by a few more faces and names. So we've got Oscar who's joined us, who's competing with me for the best hoodie at the moment because his says DLT and mine just says Bitcoin. So Oscar, thanks for joining us. We've got JT and Elena as well. Oscar, I don't know, have you been on any of our calls before?
Yeah, I've joined a few previously. I was on one last week as well, last 10 minutes. Jumped in, yeah.
Welcome back anyway. And we've got some familiar, I would say faces, but they've turned the cameras off. JT and Elena are regulars in our group as well. So for anyone who hasn't been on any of these sessions before now, just for info, we never really know what we're going to end up talking about. Just, we were chatting with Rebecca about what she's working on with some projects which look like they're probably going to end up in Dubai with the hedge fund and that kind of thing, which is really interesting. I don't know, anyone got anything they'd like to share or add or anything as we begin with? It always goes silent when I ask anyone to say anything. That's good. So, okay.
Well, Gary, as you know, I have the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to ask to anyone who has 20 minutes of your time. I am doing my research project for Cambridge, and it is about crypto. It's the effect of cryptocurrencies in the European economy. So if any of you has 20 minutes, I'm gonna put my personal phone number in the chat so you can just reach out. I can send you the questions in advance. They're pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and it will be really good either for us in the crypto market as much as for the traditional markets to look at the research because it's going to give a different point of view on crypto.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome on that. It's interesting as well because Annie, who is also based in Cambridge, she sometimes comes on and she sometimes asks some really interesting questions either about crypto economics or regulation. Regulation, I'm convinced is the favorite topic these days with everybody. So that's really good. So, Elena,
Not my.
go on, JT.
Look, regulations is such an old thing. We've been talking about that since 2015. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we are at the stage there. It's just up to the politicians the regulators. Majority of countries won't do anything. Okay, let's face it. So it is really the governments that need to legislate and kind of force the regulators to do it. So it doesn't matter what we say, we do debate. We know not what needs to be done. And unfortunately, in some countries, the politicians they don't see the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
First of all. And second, I don't think they understand too much about that. They just know, yeah, crypto is very volatile and some people can make lots of money. That's the only thing they really know when you speak to them. And you as I have been in several conversations with people in the parliament, a few lords, part of that work group in the UK.
Yep.
And, some of them say, well, we push, but, that's where we are. It's the but.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you speak to some of the regulators, they're always very risk averse. But when you speak to some of the MPs or the Lords, then they're quite often quite bullish and quite supportive. And it's almost as though, you guys are not speaking to the regulators because they're meant to be implementing what you want. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, we're joined back by Elena, who's had a break for a few weeks. She's been deep in the metaverse, I reckon. So she's returned back to Earth.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Hello, everyone.
well, welcome back. See, I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point now as well because Rebecca commented how we've got Gabriella on today and how it's unusual to have females on these calls. And so, no, not in this group. So that's good. JT, the stuff you've been working on with like the messaging and the video and decentralized stuff, which I'm assuming you're still working on. What's the regulation around that? Is there anything?
Not really, I mean, most of the communications that you see out there being this video conference tool or WhatsApp, they claim to be encrypted, end-to-end encryption, and that's it. And they still do it,
Yep.
So I don't see really the problem at the moment, unless if governments legislate and go further and say no more encryption can be possible, then that's pretty much the end of internet. It is a problem because if you don't provide end-to-end encryption, then all the encryption has failures and can be hacked by. You don't have to be very clever as a hacker or a cybersecurity expert, to do
And I
that.
was going to say that I guess there's a crypto connection there as well.
Yeah.
Because I saw in the news that the developer who was prosecuted around Tornado Cash, Tornado Cash being an encrypted mixer for obfuscating transactions and that.
That's involved money.
Yeah.
Anything that involves money is a different thing, okay?
But I noticed that there was some sort of case or something where that they may be dropping some things around that.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of, I was reading about that as well. So who knows, but I understand from a money perspective, if you create just a technology, um, and make it available for everyone, many people create technologies that are open source, then that should never be a problem, for anyone. How you use that technology to do bad things, and if then you as a developer also facilitate some of those things, then yes. Now, what we don't know, Gary, is that the dev, how far he went further from actually facilitating a lot of the mixing, and that is considered already some countries money laundering, and that has different problems that can occur to the actual developer, so
That's fair. In fact, I just thought I'd pull that out now while I have it, because it was, I was right, it was in the press a couple of days ago, where he's asking for a dismissal of the criminal charges against him. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, because it does all kind of link. You're right, it's not money as such that you're interested in, but the whole cryptography space, and obfuscation of transactions or of messages, I think continues to be a growing area. Certainly in the UK, again, there was a situation with, they were trying to introduce legislation around end-to-end encrypted chats having kind of like a backdoor ability, which they wanted in case governments or law enforcement agencies wanted access to it. As soon as you introduce a backdoor, you just, there's no point in doing the encryption type.
it's a kind of worms, of course.
Exactly.
So what they try to design now, when I talk they, I mean the agencies, people that work for them, work close to them, cryptographers that work with them, universities as well that work, is actually they design the backdoor in the encryption algorithm itself. So like elliptic curves, that elliptic curves cryptography is flawed, and many have written about that, and very easy to create backdoors. So SHA-256, for example, it's it is a type of cryptography that the NSA created in 2002 or 2003, if I'm not mistaken, but they dropped it in 2009. So they stopped using it. Obviously, lots of questions from people. And funnily enough, it was in 2009 that Bitcoin was creating with SHA-256. Okay. So, but Bitcoin is a different approach, and it's there's no point discussing here. But my point is exactly that. Cryptography, it's so important in blockchain, and there's only a couple of blockchains that actually use really good and core cryptography. One of them is, I think we spoke about this, is Zcash. So that's and Monero, and that's why the government to shut them down. The U.S. government. There's always a reason when the U.S. government doesn't like something. It's because they probably can't break through it.
Or equally, I'm something of a contrarian at times. That I reckon when the agencies say, "Oh no, this is only bad people doing this. Don't do this. Don't do this." It's actually that they want them to write all their transactions to this lovely public ledger that they can access. So talking of ledgers, Oscar, I wanted to bring you back in, because obviously most people will know DLT from distributed ledger technology, but I'm guessing it's actually the name of the business that you're involved in. So you care to share a little bit more about what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. As I was briefly explaining last week, so we only discovered blockchain in 2020. Prior to that, me and my current business partner, he's doing crazy dangling off buildings and palaces under armed guard, trying to do high risk work, and I'm a compliance manager, and he phones me one day and says, "You've got to come and see this." And I ended up taking 2 weeks off of work, and we were stuck in his shed, and I couldn't believe what this technology was and how it could be used. And we dived in, both quit our jobs, and We made a lot of money during the bull run, and then we used all those gains and opened a hub in Canary Wharf, and we invited everybody. It was an open space. It was free, and we were sitting there and going, right, what are we going to call this place? Right. Well, blockchain's not the right word. We can't call it the blockchain hub because this is for decentralized community to come and build. Everything's going to go on a ledger. If we want to be transparent, we've got to have logs, and it's stuck from there. Is it the best branding option? Don't know. Time will tell. And I'm not stuck with it, but we've been DLT Hub for a while now. And we then converted to become a community interest company. So we closed our limited company down and opened up a CIC, a community interest, which is, if anyone's not aware, it's like the perfect balance between being a charity and a limited company. It's like perfect in the middle. It has a lot of perks. And we've just been working with that now, trying to build social impact projects, how we can use technology to actually solve real world issues with people we know in the real world. Because the evolution of the technology is absolutely phenomenal and it's only going to get better. But instead of trying to build shiny new things and that are futuristic that most people don't understand, we're trying to bring that tech back to the current issues they're experiencing to build the trust and help with the onboarding more. So Greenwich University, we had a project with them. We built a gamified edtech supporting platform that allowed students to do bounties or tasks for local businesses whilst utilizing academic knowledge from the campus itself. And it all became gamified and on a meta CV building aspect. So student, by the time they left, they'd have a meta CV showing all this additional beautiful, impactful social stuff they did. And that was a test for what we actually wanted to build out, and we're building now. And I think we've all had this, and this is why we've pivoted slightly to build that as the MVP. Is we all come across somebody who goes, what the hell is this? How do I get involved? And how do I make money? Right? And you can only have this conversation so many times. I even thought about buying a dictaphone and just recording myself. And then when I met somebody and they asked me, I'd just press play and give them a set of headphones and say, talk to me when you finish the cassette, And we've decided, we were like, right, let's build a gamified platform that appeals to all ages, teaches them the basics, bite size, and as their level of knowledge goes up or their bandwidth accommodates higher, they get airdrops, they get anything, everything. So money we make through subscriptions or affiliate deals, so on. We switch 90% of that straight back into the treasury, and we go ahead and buy tokens supporting social impact projects or good projects, and we airdrop those tokens to our community members. So it's not for profit for us, it's more to utilize that money. And the more we've spoke to people, the more they've really come to like it. But it's kind of upset all my Web3 friends who are miles ahead in crypto. They're like, what are you doing? This isn't very futuristic crypto. What's this social impact crap? And I'm like, guys, we've left so many people behind. Like, you've teleported ahead. You haven't even ran ahead. You've teleported. No one can even see you right now. So I'm going to stay back here and work with this mob. You just set up the bases and we'll start sending it through, So we're making ecosystem partners and friends. We're trying to get a Metaverse partner at the moment because all the universities are very interested in the concept we've got on how the Metaverse would work with the gamified side. And yeah, we're just having fun. We're trying to solve social impact, real world issues at the moment, and leaving the high tech futuristic stuff for the more advanced knowledge people in the eco space. But yeah, we're having fun.
Cool. Okay. Are you aware of Alice.si out of interest?
Alice?
Yeah. As in ALICE .si.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So for those who don't know, it was just with the word social impact being mentioned, and I remember Alice.si was one of the first I'd heard of, which was all around having the ability that if you kind of donate some money for a project or get some grant funding, whatever, one of the problems is actually proving it's brought some benefits. And Alice were doing some or the
Yeah.
team were doing some really interesting stuff around. So, say you were given £10 for sleep, someone who didn't have anywhere to live, type thing. But the charity wouldn't get the £10 until they were able to prove that someone had been able to sleep somewhere overnight, type thing. So quite interesting. So they were kind of like one of the first who were using a blockchain-based solution on that, if I remember correctly. So I was just trying to see. It's got some stuff in here. The only problem is with it being called Alice. Anyone who's into crypto in any way will understand that Alice and Bob are the two people who always get talked about when you have to explain how crypto works. Of Alice sends coins to Bob and Bob receives them, kind of thing. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know about it, I'd say check out LSSI as well. It's another interesting one. And then Oscar, when you're at the point where you can share a URL or whatever, then you can give us more details.
Yeah, I will do. I'll share that with the group. Just to remind you, Gary, the documentary that's going on at the moment, again, I'd love to share that with you and the group. The Demystifying Crypto, this is a British producer director who heard about our story, came to us, and his work basically is trying to demystify crypto for the normal, regular world. And they're looking for, so he's done over 100 street interviews so far, and as I said to you last time, 98% is just negative, like they don't have any faith in what's going on. But then we take their questions and then we find the industry people to answer it, and then we're trying to set up meetings with regulators or people in parliamentary groups or advisory groups. So if anybody's interested, I'd be really glad to hear from you as well. And Gary would love to schedule you in as well for a session soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. This is an evening of people coming on saying, "Hey, we're running this thing. Can you come and join us for that?" So, yeah. So there we go. Yeah, go for it.
Oscar, you mentioned your concept of metaverse earlier. You have to talk about it more, please. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, I don't know if we should do that offline or just take over Gary's show right now and just talk about my project. What do you want to
do? Go for it, because Elaine is particularly interested in the metaverse at the moment. So go for it, Oscar.
Okay, I'll make it brief. So we've done a few tests with 2D metaverses like Gabbertown, where the students could move around, and then we moved them into 3D spaces that we used croquet and a few others, and we played around. And what we found was the first 10 to 15 minutes, there was a major interest period, because the visual stimulation, they liked it, they were in. But within half an hour, they were falling off. And then we were pulling them out and saying, right, pros and cons, what would you want? What do you need? And we looked at all their suggestions and all their feedback. And obviously, this is just catering for the student demographic. And what the student demographic were asking for were different to the older demographics that we worked with on the think tank groups. Whereas the older think tank groups wanted more detail, they wanted files, references, more visuals. The student demographic wanted something more visually stimulating, less information, like bite size, with more reward mechanisms and incentives. They wanted it to look like a game, like they were opening the map as they moved along. They wanted that game stimulation. And then they obviously highlighted a few factors on what they wanted on the point reward recognition systems, what type of incentives they wanted. And then we worked with them for a few months on this. And I could bore you with all the data on this, but basically they said, I don't wish to wear a headset, but I don't mind looking at my laptop and running around in an immersive area, because if it makes me feel like I'm gaming. But don't create an immersive environment thinking I'm going to put on a headset and spend hours in there with you. I'm not going to do that, was the feedback, right? And we were like, oh, how interesting. So what you're saying, as long as we make it gamified, they were like, yeah. So we showed them 2 areas. We said, what do you think about this? And they went, no, this just looks like a virtual Westfields. They said, I feel like I'm just walking around inside Westfields. This is rubbish. And we were like, okay, what about this one? And they went, yeah, I like that because that's game. That looks like a game. There was no and that had less amount of effort put into it, that less graphics required. We didn't worry about ceilings, nothing, it was just more of a gaming vibe for them. So we found something out there. And all the crazy wishes they had for what type of reward they would like. If I logged on, I want a daily reward. If I did more than 3 actions, I want a reward, and I want it to be a screen pop. I want it to be something I want to be able to share. And if I share, I want another reward, and so on. So it was just more that sort of info. But
that's students.
that was the 18 to 25 students in university, yeah. And these are all like, they majority of them are doing blockchain. They're doing their masters in data analytics, and there's a few in gaming, and they do graphic design. So yeah.
So you found out there are stark differences in preferences in different generations.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that made us realize that we can still create one single metaverse, but have different bespoke layers or different glasses, if we may call them, and you pick your glass view based on it, but it's still the same design. It just has different perspectives and different gamification layers that plug in based on your profile. So assess the right profile, give them their bespoke view, and it's still the same framework and same environment to an extent, just different layers.
That's a very interesting idea, actually. I don't think anyone has implemented it before, or up to now.
Yeah. I think I know why. It's too much hard work. It's absolutely crazy. And you're like, right, we can create 5 different layers, but then each layer, in theory, we're going to have 25 students who are going to want their own little niche, their own little touch. It doesn't stop. So, but I think thanks to what's happening with AI now, I mean, I saw the Google's gaming one that they did, like, people can throw in their own environments now. They can start doing their own colors, and it's going to get very interesting. I've chose to pause on this till March to see what's going on with the AI and gaming and metaverse elements. So I've paused that because I know so many projects that are coming out of stealth in February and March that we've just paused now. I don't wish to develop any further until we see what comes out at the end of this.
That's curious as well. You mentioned that because it's basically the younger generation seems to have an attention of like 2 seconds. In fact, quite literally. I know people who produce like YouTube videos and that they'll talk about don't have the same camera shot for more than 2 seconds. You have to change the angle. You have to do all this kind of thing. And I know someone who's doing some stuff in the education space, and they specialize in like children who've got ADHD. So that's a bit more of a diagnosed attention deficit. And they're doing exactly the same. So that they're actually tuning their education to align with the children's style type thing of, the frequency that they need, changing things and everything. So it's interesting. We're getting a real overlap in that. So fascinating stuff.
Can I say something, Gary?
Yeah.
The first company I ever had, I was during the COVID. We started with the idea to launch a metaverse for companies. So, it was around the time that ideas were focused on meetings. You would have the online meeting, and we would create a space for you to do a meeting with your partner from the other round of the world. And our idea was to use that money to finance our own school for cryptocurrencies, where students would connect to the metaverse, and we would teach them in the metaverse, and it would be different rooms according to your level of knowledge and such. What we found is that it's a lot of work and not enough clients. It was our funny. We couldn't actually scale the business. It was really hard to sell to companies, because companies were like, why would I pay for this? Why not just simply connect to Teams or Zooms? And we were like, this is the future. This is the future of businesses, but they didn't see it. And then we were trying to build the metaverse for our students, which is actually quite expensive to build the metaverse itself. It takes a lot of technology. We couldn't find the right balance between the costs and the amount of time that we had to employ in this. Ended up just dropping the idea. But I wish the best to everybody who is trying this. I think it's a good idea. It's just very difficult to implement.
But it's interesting as well, because I remember, I think this was around about 2000. So as you say, lockdown time, where Microsoft introduced immersive spaces, and where they were introducing like a meshability and Microsoft Teams on VR and all this kind of thing. And I'll dig it out in a moment, because they were using avatars and all sorts of stuff that in the standard Microsoft way, they kind of made really interesting stuff really boring in some ways. But I seem to remember there was something else that came up that looked like it was potentially something called Metaverse. And I'll see if I can find that as well. But yeah, it's interesting how I see all of these things going around in circles that I keep thinking, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before in some way in a previous incantation. So yeah, Metaverse, I just pulled it up. The whole idea of like virtual offices and running meetings online, that kind of thing. Haven't seen it really take off, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I've seen a few projects of those before, but I was actually involved in a few things quite early before all the metaverse stuff started. Yeah, and it keeps going back to one specific, well, a couple of things. One is if you're gonna do this type of things, you need really to get people to use the glasses, and that's the problem. That's where it starts. Back in 2011, 12, when I was working for a very large, the largest marketing and advertising group in the world, they did a panel of people. I think at the time it was Microsoft. I can't remember who was the big company. And they got, because VR is not something new. We know this, okay? It's going for a while. And there was at the time a new wave of, it has evolved, the new headsets, and they did evolve. But problem is, majority of feedback from the panel of people, and we talk about nearly 1,000 people, was that very uncomfortable after 20, 30 minutes. So that's going to be the barrier. The entrance barrier is, if someone, it doesn't matter if they are sitting at home or whatever, to participate in online meetings or to navigate the metaverse, they need to feel comfortable with something on their head, and I think we're still very, very far away from that. Meanwhile, I'm a true believer that AR, there's quite a few cool AR glasses that are coming out. A few of them just came out this year, and that's going to. I've seen someone in the last conference where I've been in Dubai, in Dubai, no, actually in Abu Dhabi, the Finance Week, that one of them was having one of these Polaroid glass, and he was having a Zoom meeting on it, and that's quite interesting, because when he gave me, I just put literally the glasses on my face, and my ears could hear the whole conversation of what was going on, but I could not see the video meeting because it was not my glasses, it didn't recognize my eyes, so I couldn't actually see it. It's super interesting, some of these new devices coming up. So, but we still are very, very far away from that. And until then, I think Metaverse is, it's a pain to say it is, because I really like all the stuff, but I think it's going to take at least 3 to 5 years to come back, very strong.
I think, again, I've been through this hoop once before, where people were trying to go for VR, and so you had things like Oculus Rift and the various heavy headsets and that kind of thing. Then you had Google Glass, and I remember the first innovation with Google Glass. I was trying some of that stuff it was about 2015 thereabouts, which is quite interesting. Then you've got mixed reality, which is where there's the kind of like the synthesis between all of them, which is where it seems to be going in there. When you take a look at Google's got another project going. I think it's Project Astra, which if anyone's interested in those kind of things, it's worth taking a look at. Where I think they're looking at integrating, as JT said, like the AI experience and the glasses experience with other things. So yeah, it does feel as though we've been here before, though. But I guess it's just as we iterate, the glasses get lighter, the experience gets easier.
Have a look at that link that I sent you. Yeah. This is something that came out recently. Yeah. And I think probably this is going to be the way a lot of developers are going, and is going to improve a lot on these. But I think the future is going to be very similar to this. Yeah, if they can crack it with new technology, I think then we become closer and closer. Yeah, to achieving it. But it's going to take a while, to have all of those experiences.
Yeah. Returning back to the crypto world for a moment, then, so or at least the blockchains, that kind of thing. Just want to say hi. I noticed Ken's joined us as well. I know Ken is more into the blockchain level of stuff. I think that's for Ken and smart contracts. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting just listening through on the Metaverse stuff. I think it was Google who've got that new glasses of theirs, I think, which like you say, it's a mixed verse where you can walk around and you can look at a building and it can basically give you the history of the building and so forth. Very, very interesting subject, that mixed metaverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a big future in it.
Yeah, it's curious as well. One thing Google is very good at is at dropping things. Because I remember that they launched Google Glass, I think it was 2014, 2015, and then they dropped the consumer version of it, where it carried on with some business type things. So
the reason for that is exactly what I said, Gary. You know? Yes, of course. I used to deal with Google quite a lot between 2000 and end of 2010 and 2015. And a lot of feedback people are giving, especially within the team, is the technology is not there yet. And that's the problem. It's not the actual concept. It's not the actual, many of the things they want to do with it, the apps and all of that, it's just the hardware is not there yet. Yeah. And that's the problem. It's the technology. Everything else is there. Even the fast streaming now from most of devices, it is possible. But I think that's why they dropped,
But if I was quickly going to say, I mentioned about Google Glass for consumers. They dropped that, and they continued with the enterprise and the business version. And then last year, they actually announced that they're no longer selling the enterprise edition either. So it's probably a good example of what's saying that Google are very good at exploring and trying, and then stopping things. So I know I'm using some new Google capabilities at the moment, like Notebook LM, which I'm finding is fascinating, the way you can create podcasts from PDF documents and that. But it's experimental, and it may just suddenly disappear. So,
talking about experimental, I've been talking with a couple of guys that are creating something totally revolutionary that is the end of blockchain and crypto. Okay. Yeah. It's evolution of money, basically. Okay. So it's quantum money. And basically they are quantum teleportation. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm talking about, but imagine that I want to send some money to you, Gary. It happens at the same time. You don't need anything in the middle. Therefore, you don't need a blockchain. You don't need a DLT. You don't need anything, really. This is the next evolution of money. And these are guys from UK. So they have raising money now. If you have a couple of million to invest, they already raised quite a bit. So they have a few tickets of, I think, about a million each.
So are you using quantum entanglement as a communications method then?
Yes, I believe so. They are working on that part yet, but as you've seen, there was a few announcements this year of many people who achieve quantum teleportation. Okay. So that's the principle over fiber optics network, of course. At the moment, the true quantum entanglement is not possible. So we're talking about it has to do with quantum encryption as well. Okay, so the way it's done. And it's fascinating what these guys are doing. And that proposal is what they've been telling me and what I've been reading. They send me the materials. it's truly the end of crypto, and blockchain. There's no need for it anymore when it comes to money. Of course, there are other applications, we know that, yeah. But when it comes to actually the part of crypto and transfer of money, and that was the purpose of crypto and blockchain initially, yeah, then there's no need for it anymore because there's no way for anybody to intercept. The security is just there, what happens on my side happens on your side at the same time. So
I think I've just managed to find a link that kind of describes it. I'm not going to go into this right now, but it's worthwhile just Googling like quantum entanglement and
no, don't go
communications.
that way. Just Google quantum teleportation, okay? And then you understand a bit more, because within the quantum entanglement, it can be misconstructed in many different ways, yeah?
Yeah. I was going to quickly offer two things, though. One is you'll notice they're talking about Alice and Bob, which anyone who's into crypto will know that they are the two people for whom all values are transacted, as I was saying before about Alice SI. And the other thing about quantum is that the in-joke about quantum is that if you understand quantum, then you don't. It is quite a complex thing. So that's certainly an interesting one. And I know certainly there's been a lot of talk recently about quantum computing and its potential impact on encryption, which I think is a complete falsehood for crypto, because I'm sure JT and I'm sure I've had conversations about this. At the point at which you've got quantum computing that breaks our current encryption capabilities like SHA-256 and ECDSA, as was being mentioned before, there's far bigger targets to go for than crypto, which is worth what total market cap $3.5 trillion right now. That's peanuts compared to financial services, satellite communications, mobile, and the defense sector as well, all of whom would be far more affected. So, folks, there was a bit of a distraction there. I think we went off topic a little bit, but we've got about 10 minutes left. So if anyone wants to add anything or ask any particular questions, now's a great opportunity.
I'm just going to say, I mean, it's kind of what you're talking about at the moment reminded me of there's a new research paper that's come out from, I think it's Cornell University, and it's basically to do with wallets, because as you know, with crypto, because the way the encryption works, my keys, my coins. So they've come up with a new way where you can keep your keys, but somebody else can control your coins. So it's a way, I mean, I think Vitalik at the beginning was part of the research project, but he dropped out to work on other projects. But it's quite interesting. So if this wallet does work, they've put out the research paper, but they haven't put out the code yet. They say they're going to put that out soon. But if it does work, I mean, you could use it for good things in that you can set maybe, I don't know, inheritance planning and stuff like that. You can hold the keys, and then when you pass away, someone else can use them and so forth. But you can also use them for bad things, wash trading and so forth. You can do dark trades with it now and so forth. It's a very interesting white paper that came out. And if what they've written, it's actually works, then a lot of the exchanges are going to actually have to kind of upgrade their security. Otherwise, they won't be able to 100% be compliant, because if somebody's doing some dark trades that the exchange doesn't know, then how can the exchange be compliant? So that's why they say they haven't put the code out yet. But if they, I mean, it's like, Cornell University is a very strong university. So we believe they've got the code, they've got it working, and everybody's just sort of like waiting to see, when that code comes out. Or what could be happening is they could be working with exchanges to implement a way of kind of to be able to actually track the coins, or just a way of breaking that security that they've built out. But it's quite interesting. I think it's called Liquefaction is the system of the blockchain. It's kind of like the new blockchain wallet.
Okay. So it's liquefaction.
Liquefaction. Liquefaction. So it's kind of like a privacy kind of liquefying of BlockFi assets and stuff. I think.
Yeah, that's some really cool new stuff coming out, That's interesting. I didn't knew that, Ken. So I'm gonna have a look at it. And the actual this is what is surprised me is people already thinking about the next generation of, it doesn't matter if it's of money or whatever, but this quantum money thing is stuck in my brain, I mean, imagine decentralized financial infrastructure that is ledgerless, So the way they explain me is like, how can I pay you with gold? And we don't need a ledger to record that. And I was like, what? And then like, I give you the gold and you give me something in return, yet the gold is recognized by everyone. It's like if you can imagine teleporting tokens without needing a ledger, So this is the type of stuff those guys are actually creating, It's not just conceptualizing only, they are moving into creating now. That conceptualization is already done because since NASA, I think it was in 2019 or 2020, I can't remember, then just one of the entities, they managed to achieve teleportation of states or quantum states, then it opened a completely new door for people being creative. And these guys are saying, how can we create the next generation of money that doesn't need a DLT? I'm like, wow.
See, Oscar's not happy now because that means get rid of the DL.
It needs to change the name now. Not now, but in a few years.
Yeah, we'll call it the hub. Fuck it. Yeah, no, you've blown my mind, JT.
No,
I'm going to read that all.
You rebranded to Quantum Hub, See?
Yeah, I'll call it Q Hub. I'll be good.
It's often the thing I often joke. It's all about knowing which buzzword to have at the beginning of the project title for the funding. So that's definitely the thing. JT, that's really interesting then, because this is the fascinating thing that at times with this whole sector, it does feel as though we're just doing more and more of new people coming into the space who just didn't know about this stuff, which, as Oscar said, there's only so many times you can explain this is a blockchain, this is a wallet, this is a private key, blah, 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 time back. And then occasionally something completely new comes in. You go, oh, wow, that's something new and interesting, And I've seen this happen with, when we originally had blockchains or distributed ledgers, and then we had programmable capabilities, smart contracts, which was something of an innovation. And then someone took those and started doing NFTs and linking them to real world assets, which is kind of iterations of this stuff. But yeah, the quantum space and the AI space, I'd still say it's kind of like the triangle of forces that quantum, AI, and blockchain or DLT, but put together, create some fascinating propositions that I've got no idea what they are.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, this has made me. I think I'm just going to pause all works, go back to trading for a year before I decide what to bloody do, because everything's moving way too fast. And
no, don't do that, Oscar. This next year is the year to make money in crypto.
No, definitely.
But do not worry, Oscar. The one true thing is, if there is something that will threaten the power and the money from banks, they will never let it happen. So blockchain is just a way for them to make extra money. But if you launch something that will make no money for everybody, that's not going to happen.
That's a really good thing. And talking of that kind of thing, we're going to have to finish off now, unfortunately, because the hour's flown by. But Oscar, picking up on your point, I think the one thing I heard ages ago said was that if you think that the world is getting faster and faster with technology, then that means that today is the slowest it's going to be for the rest of your life. so just let that sink in, kind of thing. It's quite a humbling thing to think about. But folks, we're going to have to close off. Unfortunately, we're pretty much on the hour. Been a fascinating range of areas covered. We've travelled all around just Europe this evening and some of the Middle East, I think. But that was good. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks to the contributions. As always, it all starts intersecting with quantum, the metaverse, AI, cryptography. So hope everyone enjoyed it. I certainly did. For anyone who's watching afterwards, stop watching, come and join us on a future session, or at least like and comment on the YouTube video later on. So thanks very much again, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye bye.